and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday. And you know what that means? It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. And we got another week of the toy news this week. And unfortunately or fortunately, depending who you are and depending how your wallet situation is, a little bit slower week than the last couple of weeks with all the Toy Fair fallout. Going to be a couple of slow weeks, but we got Mattel revealed around the corner here mid-March. Then we got WrestleMania in April. Should be a ton of wrestling news around that. And then all the other companies, all points in between as we lead up to San Diego Comic-Con 2026. So more toy news to come, but a little light this week. A page and a half or so of notes. But before we get into that, we got to thank the sponsor of this very video. It is Jay'sToysAndGames.com. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal out there, and you'll see some stuff from Jay's this week in weekly purchases. All kinds of fun stuff over there. And then I, of course, got to plug the Patreon. Check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel. You get both of my YouTube channel videos early over there on Patreon. You get all the glamour shots for the videos. You get the podcast early. You get a monthly bonus Q&A video, which I'm going to be filming today as well. All kinds of stuff over there on the Patreon. Appreciate all the support. And, of course, this month's giveaway today, if you're watching this on Saturday, your last chance to get in, Brody Lee, and of course the Street Fighter Rock figure. 2 separate giveaways for Patreon members. Check it out over there. Follow the rules, all that fun stuff. Appreciate all the support. But let's dive into the toy news. How about? Let's start with WWE Mattel. Got a lot of wrestling news to kick off as usual. WWE Mattel this week. Ringside Collectibles. Our old friends over at Ringside. Use code Kyle. Save 10%. Plenty of pre-orders up there. Elite 126. Survivor Series. Can't believe we're already talking Survivor Series. Elite Greatest Hits, Defining Moments. We also got that Chelsea Green Ultimate. A lot of people have been down on that one. The standard head looks really good. They don't like the other 2 heads. As I always say, let's get them in person and make that final decision. But that is up there as well. Main Event Championship Series, which is an interesting one, especially coming off a story I'll tell on the podcast this week. So check that out here in the future. We got Championship Showdown Series 27, Top Picks Main Event. Main Event 166. We also got Ultimate Greatest Hits with Logan Paul and the Great Muta. Interesting. What is this Great Muta? I hope it's not a direct re-release. I hope it's a fancy repaint. I would love to see that. I felt like I heard something like it was all Muta in white. Probably wrong on that. But I'm here for all the Great Muta figures, and I hope we get a lot more here. And I hope at Mattel Revealed or WrestleMania weekend, they announce a bunch of that stuff. So we'll have to stay tuned on that. But a lot of pre-orders up at Ringside. Our wallets are bleeding a little bit there in wrestling figures. Not bleeding so much as far as AEW Jazwares. The announcements here and there. We got some Toy Fair stuff. We had the latest Unmatched Wave last week. Well, this week comes word. Mark Sterling, looking about May timeframe for that. An in-stock order for the Mark Sterling figure. So we're still getting Jazwares stuff, just not as much as we used to. And spoiler alert, we've talked about this on the Toy News many a weeks. If we ever think Jazwares goes away from AEW and another line picks it up, guess what? We're not going to get very many figures. It's going to be more akin to like what Boss Fight does, like 3 or 4 figures a year with a different company. Unless it's Hasbro or Mattel, Jazwares is our best bet of them popping stuff out at a pretty continual basis. And I don't see anybody picking it up at Mattel. I just don't think that's possible at all with the legalities of it all. I don't think Hasbro's ready to get into wrestling. Stranger things have happened. Todd McFarlane from the couch could, but he said he hates wrestling, so he doesn't want to do that. But Todd, you might hate wrestling, but you love money. So maybe. But I think if Jazwares does officially lose that license and that day does officially come, I'm not sure if anybody will pick it up. And if somebody does pick it up, I don't think they're going to release in the amounts that we get right now. So we'll see what ends up happening. More on the story there. But Mark Sterling, 100% coming. Sounds like an in-stock drop come May, so be ready for that. This week's from another retro company's Nerd Closet. They did put a little shipping update. Sounds like it hitting the docks anytime now. It is the Major Brothers 2-pack. Demolition, if you didn't get the Demolition the first go around, you got the Demolition coming out. Powers of Pain, the Hardy Boys, coming all right now. So going to be in stock very, very soon. So look to those reviews here in the future. Can't wait to see those. Figure toys, figure collection toys. They've been promoting this and got this like teasing here, and they did another little teaser on Friday. It looks like those retro ICP figures coming most likely in stock very soon. You know, a lot of ICP fans are looking for that. Whoop, whoop. Am I right, Todd McFarlane? A lot of ICP fans looking for these, but also wrestling fans, as you can imagine. So a good pickup for FC Toys, if you ask me. We also saw last weekend Epic Toys announcing a few cool figures. The Genius won Lanny Poffo in the traditional red robe or black. So choose your own adventure. Going to be great with the Beverly Brothers here in the future. And we do know there's Beverly Brothers coming from Title Run Toys and coming from Epic Toys. So I guess you could grab a Genius for both. You could do that if you wanted to. But the Genius looking really good. And then a big surprise, we got Jushin Thunder Liger. We know Big Rubber Guys just announced one. So looking like a lot of these companies getting on the Liger train, which I am here for. I will say these Epic Toy ones look really, really good. The traditional, we'll call it Liger, and then the black version of Liger, the evil Liger. Just really wish we had the cape, and I hope that maybe is to come. Maybe they'll add that in the future. But would love to see a cape, especially on the traditional Liger. Give it that extra flair that it really needs. And they've given us a lot of soft goods with Epic Toys. So they've given us Dr. Death. They've given us, of course, Ric Flair in his robe. So I would love to see a cape with that. Hopefully that is in the works. Hopefully they do get that out there very, very soon. But we keep on going with the retro news. It keeps on coming at us. KWK, Dory Funk Jr., just like the Patreon giveaway for this channel, last day. Well, as you're watching this right now, today is the last day for Dory Funk Jr. pre-orders. You know me, I love that Funk family, especially Terry, but I need Dory Funk in my collection, and it's just wild. And we'll get to the Power Town, Todd McFarlane. Don't you worry, we'll get to them. We got some stuff to talk about. But it's crazy how they announced Dory Funk Jr. like 2 years ago, still no figure. And what was it, like 6 months ago, maybe even less than that, KWK announced Dory Funk, and here we are coming up at the close of the pre-order. Just absolutely wild, just crazy stuff. And I even joked with Sean from KWK. I said, do you think you'll beat Power Town? And he just LOL'd like, yeah. And there it is, coming to fruition right here. So we got Dory Funk Jr. around the corner. You know I'm here for that. We also saw Shelton Benjamin and Mario Mancini are going to be next up here. So be on the lookout for those. That Mario 1/100 we talked about. So if you're after one of the greatest jobbers of all time, you know you got to go over to KWK. We also saw this week KWK making the announcement. You know, he's getting into the management company side of things here a little bit. He's starting to manage Todd McFarlane from the couch. No, not you, but he's going to start managing me. KWK is going to take me on. They're going to be my manager. They're going to escort me to work every single day. And if people try to get my way, they're going to talk it. They're going to book my travel. They're going to do everything. It's going to be a great thing at my day job, something I desperately need. And I thank Sean and the KWK team for taking me on the role. It's going to be great. Or maybe I just made that all up, Todd McFarlane. But they are taking on one Orient Express and Bad Company. So pretty cool, KWK managing them. So if you need to book them for wrestling, autograph appearances, live signings, birthday parties, Todd McFarlane, that would be good to get Bad Company at a birthday party. But we should also be seeing probably the Orient Express in the O-Ring line eventually. Bad Company, maybe O-Ring and Retro. That's definitely a possibility, especially since they're under the umbrella. This kind of makes sense. I wouldn't say that's too much of a stretch. Orient Express, we should have any day now in the Retro line as well. So KWK keeps cooking. The slow and steady wins the race. Every month there's a pre-order. They ship something every month. It's a nice cycle, and that's how all these companies should try to be at. They could take a lot of notes from KWK if you ask me. So looking good over there. How about Grapplers and Gimmicks? Can't go a week without talking to our friend old Mitch over there at Hasbro Toys. Coming in hot with Shane Douglas Retro, representing the triple threat. Going to be great with the Chris Candido, I guess, from Zombie, and Bam Bam Bigelow from Hasbro back in the day. It's a unified approach there to get the triple threat. And I forgot, you know, Zombie does have Shane Douglas coming too, but he also has Francine. But going to be an interesting one here with Grapplers and Gimmicks, turning and burning those retros. As we know, they don't mess around. Just this week on the channel, we did unbox the new Sergeant Slaughter packs. Just phenomenal work by Grapplers and Gimmicks over there. They're really killing it on those. But they also talked a little regime this week. We got some updates to the Raven figure. A lot of people excited for an elite style Raven. I know I am for sure. But they also officially announced Shane Douglas coming in the future as well. Going to go great with our Bam Bam Elites, maybe. Who knows? But I'm here for Shane Douglas. I'm here for anything ECW, especially in the regime line. We'll see where it goes. And as we always say, especially with Mitch, constant learning, constant improvement from where he started to where he is now. So many improvements. Can't wait to see how he improves upon the Godwin's regimes, which I wouldn't say they're perfect figures, but a pretty hard slam dunk right out of the gate. Going to see where he can adjust and move things to with the future regime releases. So looking good over there. Moving on to Title Run Toys. So many retro companies top and front. You sure you don't want to get your hat in this game? You might as well. You might as well. And we'll talk about you later, or little talk about you later. Title Run Toys this week. Mark Marrow, the Wild Man. Johnny B. Bad, of course, once upon a time. Showed a little updated sculpt. Said, hey, we're listening to people. We're updating these things. Really appreciate it when they do stuff like that. It's always great to listen to your fan base because they're the one putting the money over. And it sounds like Title Run Toys did do that. But Title Run Toys, it's not all roses over there this week. As last week we talked about it, the Jumping Bomb Angels, the run-in series in stock, immediately shipping now. Well, here we are a week later, no shipping notice. And they did send me an email, probably you too if you pre-ordered. And it said, hey, we're so sorry. The shipping got caught up in the tariffs and I don't know. I lost count and I lost consciousness at the tariffs, Todd McFarlane. I heard that from Steve last week from Powertown, and I've just been salty ever since. But they said they had some issues and they're hoping to get them in stock. Well, didn't they say last Friday it's the run-in series that's in stock? Order right now, it's in stock. Well, now it's not in stock. So I guess I see what they were doing. Hey, these should be here any day. Let's just call it in stock. It's supposed to be here. Well, delays happen, shipping happens. And now all of a sudden they got egg on their face, having to put an apology. Now, I will say kudos to them for at least sending an email to their customers and being transparent of the process. But I would say in the future, if they're doing this kind of stuff, make sure you have it in hand, you're touching it before you send out a we're in stock now type of thing. So not a good look for Title Run Toys, but I wouldn't say it's one of those things, let's boycott them. Let's just get the pitchforks Powertown style because it's not that big of a deal yet unless this goes on a lot longer. It sounds like they should start shipping this week. So forgive and forget at least one time. Fool me once. How's it go, Todd? You clue me in later. But that's Title Run Toys. But now we go to Zombie Sailor Toys. The ups and downs with Zombie Sailor Toys. And I got to say, Jay's Toys and Games, good friends of the channel, sponsor of the channel. They are bringing a bunch of Zombie Sailor stuff in-house to Jay's. Jay's has a huge new warehouse now. You're going to see a lot of stuff going on over there very soon. You're going to see yours truly over there as well. I got to check out a couple of things, maybe a video or two along the way. But Zombie Sailor Toy stuff coming to Jay's. So future, look out for that and look out for some, I guess, I don't know, old stock, whatever you want to call it. But you'll be able to save 15% with code Kyle. So if you've been long gaming some Zombie Sailor stuff, be on the lookout for Jay's very, very soon as they will have some of that stuff on their website. Got to get a deal. We know how that goes. But this week, pre-order went up, just like we talked about last week with Bob Holly and the Macho King. Already shipped out. I think I'm supposed to have mine like tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Look for those reviews on the channel. But they also put out Mark Canterbury, a.k.a. Henry Godwin. All three of those up for order this week. The order is the order, going right out to everybody. Low quantities remain per the email from Zombie Sailor Toys. So if you're after those three, get after it right now. But as I talked about last week, it just doesn't sit 100% right with me because why did we pay for the Pinnacle a year ago? I think it was April I pre-ordered Pinnacle. And then you got the Road Warriors from November, December, late November, December. We pre-ordered all these things, but why are some things in stock shipping we don't have to put our money to, but other things we do? It's very complicated why they do that. I'm not sure. And they being Zombie Sailor Toys. But then the Pinnacle thing is really frustrating because I have this big, strong feeling that all these Pinnacles are going to be in stock. And then I pre-ordered back in April. I paid my money. Haven't got them. It was supposed to be, late summer. Then it was supposed to be like October, then November, then late December, January, February. Here we go. February's over. No update, no nothing from Zombie Sailor Toys. They're updating us on a lot of stuff. Hey, Macho King's in stock. Godwin's in stock. But what about our Pinnacle figures? What's going on here? What is the delay? And I guess on the major pod this week, Brian Myers gave us a little hint to what the delay is, that, hey, he has his Jeff Jarrett figure. Brian got Jeff Jarrett somehow, probably from Zombie, makes most sense. But he said the rest of them are held up in shipping or something to that effect. So once again, caught up in shipping, causing a delay, but it would be great if Zombie would tell everybody, hey, it's looking like January, February wasn't going to work out. Promise April, or hey, it's going to be April, or whatever it's going to be. But I hate the idea that I pre-ordered, sat on my money for a year, and I have a feeling all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, they're in stock, order them right now, and maybe they'll be $5 more. But I would have rather saved, having that tied up all that time. So I'm not a big fan of that. I like what Zombie's doing. He's got some bangers, obviously, but he's got some stuff that's rough, like any company, no different than Mattel and anybody else. But we need transparency on some of this stuff, especially if we're doing that pre-order model. You don't want to be lumped in with Power Town. And by no means am I calling Zombie Power Town at this point here, but it is a little bit shenanigans there. I would like to see a little bit more update on that kind of stuff. So hopefully Pinnacle very soon. I don't know, though. We've been promised 4 different times, and I don't even know where it is, and I guess nobody does because he hasn't said a word on when Pinnacle's coming. But tomorrow's March, and I don't think I'm going to get him in the mail today. So more to come, I guess, there with Zombie Sailor. He's got some work to do, but from what Brian showed off of the Jeff Jarrett, things look pretty good. Looks like they scale with WWE Elite figures. I'm very excited about this. I'm saying it right now that Abdullah the Butcher possibly could be my action figure of the year. We'll see what ends up happening, though. I'm very excited about that one. Like I said, Zombie's got some really good stuff. Just got to get the messaging out there the right way. So we'll see what happens. But one company that doesn't like to get the messaging out, really good, bad anyway, is our friends over at Power Town. It's time for the Power Town update.
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
There's some strange shit going on in this house, and I know damn well it is.
Here we go. It's time for the Power Town update. Some people's favorite portion of the show. One guy told me, Todd McFarlane, he fast forwards just to this, watches this, and leaves a thumbs down and disappears. No, I didn't hear that. But he said this is what he lives for. He lives for this update. It's better than any other update. And I don't know, take it how you want to on that one. But here we are, the Power Town update once again. A little bit of stuff to talk about this week. But it is coming. This coming Thursday, I believe, will be the 1-year anniversary of the last time Power Town updated their website. And man, it's free to update the website. You've bought the domain. You can go in there and do things whenever you want. Something better than nothing. We haven't heard a word. Best bet is it sounds like they're trying to find funds. They're trying to go out and trying to gather funds to fund all this stuff. I've said it before. I've been the champion of the Power Town train here. I smelled something funny from day one. Longtime viewers of the channel will know from day one when everybody's like, these are going to be great. These are going to be great. I said, something's fishy here. And then the fishiness got even more fishy with the broken figures and that whole thing. If you watch the videos on the channel, how do you not have somebody on the line to make sure these figures don't break on you? That's a whole nother story. But it's been fishy since day one, and I've been calling it out because it needs called out. Now, that being said, I've said it since day one as well. This could be my modern day classic superstars. This is what I want out of my wrestling action figures. Unfortunately, it's been a colossal failure to this point here, but no word at all. They did send out that thing in June saying, we're going to be more transparent. We're starting new companies. We've changed to Boomerang. All of that was for nothing. And then the last thing we did here was, I think it was late September, maybe early October. Greg and Magnum went on that podcast and tried to clear things up. It just made things worse. And Magnum said he's got one last one in him and he's ready to go if somebody needs to. And if he takes his ball and goes home, we're all out our money. I'm pretty sure we're all out our money. And a lot of people are saying the Remcos are all done in a warehouse somewhere. I honestly don't believe that. I think last year we saw the Remcos at Toy Fair. They weren't at Toy Fair this year. I think those samples that were at Toy Fair last year were to hopefully drum up more sales because they told us every day in an email for months, last day is November 24th to get your pre-order. We're opening the pre-orders back up. There's communication when they want their money, but when it's time to pay the piper, they don't communicate anything. And I truly believe since nothing ever went down on the website, you could pre-order everything. I don't think those Remcos ever got done. And I think last year at Toy Fair, they were showing those where people say, boy, these do look good. Maybe I will order, trying to get more sales. That's why they've left it open. I don't think they've hit the minimums. I think that's the hard thing. Line time's hard to get, and they want the big orders. They want the Todds of the world. Todd says, give me 4,173 of this variant Batman. And everybody's like, why that number? Nobody knows. But he moves to the front of the line over the Power Towns of the world in that example. And I think that's where Power Town, hard time finding line time, hard time trying to pay for line time. Just all the debacles left and right that's been besmirching this beautiful Power Town brand. But there's no coming back from after all this. We just got to hope we all get our figures. Jim Cornette did a video this week, apparently on Power Town as well. Didn't really add a whole lot to the situation. But, if Jim Cornette had money in this, and obviously he's not collecting these figures and stuff, I have to imagine if he actually had financial stake in this, I bet he'd be all over Magnum. I guarantee he would be. He's got to know Magnum from his Mid-South days, NWA days, WCW days. I'm sure they know each other fairly well. And I wonder what Magnum thinks of all this. But he probably said, Jim, I got one more in me too. Who knows? But he did cover that in the Jim Cornette podcast this week. Check it out on YouTube if you want to. But really, Nothing out of that. But Steve Rosenthal last week made huge news going on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, answering just out of the blue and saying the tariffs have been fixed on Friday, which is maybe a little bit early and all that. I mean, this isn't a political channel, but I think there's still things going on with that, I would say. And he put his foot in his mouth, deep in his mouth, and then went right back into his cave for hibernation, and no word at all on Powertown since then. I know in March and April timeframe, they have a lot of trademarks. Now, I am by no means a trademark expert, a trademark attorney, or nothing like that, but I'm going to give my 2 cents, Todd. Why wouldn't I? But I don't know all this kind of stuff, but I have seen that a lot of their trademarks are expiring here in March and April for a lot of different things. I believe the Remco is expiring the 1st of March, I have seen. And I think what I've seen, and I don't know this besides what I've read from other people posting, hoping they're a better expert than I am, if they don't use that trademark in X amount of time, I think it was 2 years on the Remco, if they don't do anything with it, they basically forfeit that. Now, you can put extensions in there, and I think someone said they did do an extension already, so they might lose a lot of these trademarks here very soon for lack of use. So that makes the story even crazier. What happens with all that? But I don't think anything has been packaged yet, so you just don't call them Remcos, you just call them Powertowns, and you go from there. But do they lose Powertown? We saw they don't have an email anymore. When is the website fully going to shut down? That's probably next in our list of things to happen here. But the biggest Powertown news this week probably came from Hal Haney. Hal Haney Art, a great wrestling artist out there. He's at conventions, he's on social media, does an amazing job, designed a ton of stuff for Powertown, and apparently they paid him, or I should say, they said they would pay him $8,000. That never did happen. And Hal went a little bit nuclear this week on his Instagram stories, throwing Powertown under the bus, giving them a heck of a time, showing texts that he sent to Steve Rosenthal that were unreplied to. It sounds like Hal had some, we'll just call them medical bills he had to pay, and was saying, hey, Steve, when am I going to get my money? Steve never even bothered to respond to his text message, which is really, really rough. Obviously, if you sign a contract to do something, you should be paid for it. I will say, I don't know if that's the way to go to business if you're hoping for future business and you're looking at others that might hire you for things like, oh, this guy could be a loose cannon. And Hal did apologize, posted that I had a little bit too much to drink and I got a little crazy. So, you know, he apologized and stuff, but he still said all that stuff out there. And the thing that I don't like about it, and you do what you want to do, say what you want to do, but like 2 weeks ago, he posted out a post saying he's no longer under contract to Powertown. He hopes he can work with them again in the future. It was a very nice message. But you obviously had all of this, and even showed the text messages back from like November. You were already worked up and mad at Powertown, and then you did a public post praising Powertown and saying, hey, I hope to work with them in the future. I get it, you're not trying to burn bridges, but I don't know what that says about integrity a little bit. Now, this is just me personally. You do what you want to do, but if somebody does me wrong, I'm not forgetting until this is rectified. I'm not going to just do a post on my own accord, putting them over and saying, hey, I hope to work with them again, because I would say, hey, they screwed me for a long time. They're leading me along here. I'm never working with them again. I'm going to try to get my money. I'm going to try to be cordial as I can. But once I get that money, I'm moving on. I don't ever want to work with you again. I'll find something else. So Hal was a little weird there, but you do it how you want to do it. And Hal is a good guy. You got to do what you want to do in your own business, and you got to, reap what you sow, whatever it is. But that kind of irked me a little bit. I don't know, irked is the right word, but it was a little bit strange that you're promoting them and saying, hey, I want to work with them again in the future. And then like a week later, I want to kill them and they owe me money and $8,000 and how dare they don't answer. I mean, it was just quite the flip of the script right there, but tells you all you need to know. If Steve isn't even answering text messages, he hasn't been paid. Obviously, that's $8,000. That's a heck of a lot of money. I'm personally looking at around $1,000. That's a lot of money too. It's just a bad scene all around. Will everybody get paid? Will there be a class action lawsuit? There's no money to get from anybody. I would love to take the torch on that one, but it would be the biggest loss leader ever. Time is money, and I have no time. Let me tell you, I have no time. I'm burning it around the clock 24/7. I'm always doing something between day job, family job, YouTube job, and all points in between. Hanging out with Todd, hanging out with my dogs. I'm always busy. I don't have time to do this thing. I wish somebody would step up and do it. I'll sign my name on that lawsuit. I don't fully expect to get any money ever from Powertown. I honestly don't think we'll ever get the figures ever either. They keep saying they will, which, I don't know, fool me once, fool me twice, whatever it may be. But you think of Steve, it's like the balls on him. I mean, balls on this Steve guy. Steve Rosenthal, the biggest balls. Todd, you thought you had big balls? This guy is like a AC/DC big balls or something, or balls to the walls like a young Udo Dirkschneider is what he is, because literally last week, you'll all get your figures. You're basically going to love all these figures. Just a wild statement from somebody that hasn't fulfilled anything for years at this point. But it almost makes me want to say, this guy's got such big balls to say that. Maybe he's going to come through with it. Maybe he's actually going to get these figures out there. But if he does, I hope he does. I want these figures. I think if you paid money, you want these figures. I know there's some people saying right now, I don't want the figures at all anymore at this point because I'm so sick. The taste in my mouth is terrible. One of those kind of things. But he's got the balls to say they're going to come out. I almost want to say, man, this guy's got balls. They're going to come out, but fool me once, shame on you. You know the whole story there. Todd, you know the story too. So we'll see where it goes with a continuing saga every single week. I'm going to talk about it because we have to keep it at the front of the news cycle. We don't want this to happen. We got to learn from our mistakes. We got to learn from Power Town, and we got to know what we're doing here in the future. So we'll see what happens next week in this continuing saga of the Power Town mystery, Power Town scenario. Whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But as Jerry Reed always says, let's get back to it here. I'm getting a little worked up. I can feel the sweat building after that one here, but we got some other toy news outside of wrestling to dive into this week. How about a little Mattel Creations action? This one came up, I think they announced it like Friday after I filmed Weekly Purchases, but I should have it in the mail tomorrow. Once again, it's Mattel Creations exclusive Stone Dar from the Masters Universe Origins line. Pretty cool to get Stone Dar here finally as we continue to cross off the list once and again. So we'll see where that goes. We also saw Chronicle Scareglow just come out of nowhere this week, showing that off. Looking amazing. It'll be very interesting. There was some pictures shown next to the Masterverse size. They look pretty close. I don't know, close enough to be dangerous, hopefully. We'll see where that goes, but Scareglow's a heavy hitter to start with. I love Scareglow, a character I never knew existed until I was an adult, but absolutely love the looks of Scareglow. Can't wait to add another Scareglow to my collection. And then we got a little Mythic Legions talk, and somebody in my comments last week in Weekly Purchases said, Kyle, you should really start ordering Mythic Legion figures and buying Mythic Legion figures, as I think your audience would enjoy the unboxings, which was wild because in Weekly Purchases, that very video, I got the latest House of the Noble Bear wave and I showed them in Weekly Purchases. But most people know, and if you don't, I'm telling you right now, I have a second YouTube channel. It's called Kyle Peterson 2.0. It's Overflow Unboxings, Todd McFarlane. You've been over there a time or two. There's a lot of unboxings every single day on that channel. So make sure you're subscribing to that channel, as you'll see a ton of Mythic Legions. I've unboxed one basically every single day over the last week, and I don't know, I've probably unboxed 100 Mythic Legions over there. So if you're after your Legion life, you can get them on this channel every once in a while, but they primarily live on Kyle Peterson 2.0. So make sure you subscribe to both channels. The more you know, folks, the more you know. But this week, Mythic Legions put out a Kickstarter for their role-playing game. I know, Todd, that's what I said too. I'm not a role-playing game. I was a kid, and once again, not to poo-poo on anybody that loves their Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and stuff like that, but I would go to the comic book store, and I'd get my comics, I'd look through that stuff, and I'd look over in those rooms, and I just didn't understand what was going on over there. I'd just look in there in amazement, as the parking lot would be full, there'd be people in there, they'd have their 2 liters of like Pepsi, these guys just walking around with Pepsi 2 liters and just drinking it out of that, and bags of chips everywhere, and they're just rolling dice that looks strange, and it's just a world I didn't enter. And it was like there was that doorway, and I didn't want to step into it. I was like, thought it was like Time Bandits. You ever seen that movie Time Bandits with all the little people and the George Harrison song? You check it out if you haven't seen it. But they go in through the closet, and I felt like if I went through into that room, I would be like transported. I'd never get back. So that's why I never went in those rooms. But apparently Mythic Legions is jumping into that realm of stuff. You got dice, you got mini characters, you got miniatures. It's all over my head, but there is regular figures with this thing too. You got all kinds of different Kickstarter stuff. Go over there if you want to get a part of it. But the whole Kickstarter funded in like 2 hours. So they're doing something right over there at the Horsemen and the Mythic Legions group. But if that is for you, head over there. For me, how much stuff can you get? That's the question for me. And there's so many Mythic Legion figures and the wait times and everything else. It's getting a little bit to my head. I have made a point going forward. Our good friends at Jay's Toys and Games, I'm getting my Legions only from them going forward. Unless it's like a convention exclusive or a website only for them that Jay's can't get. I'm going to Jay's. It's simple. I see it come in stock. I can get it. I don't have to worry about these long pre-orders. And this Noble Bear Wave took me 2 years to get. So I don't have to wait about all that kind of stuff. Dear old dad, Todd, you saw him last night. My dad was over here last night at my house, and he was checking out that bear. He's still waiting for his bear, but he wanted to check that bear out. He wanted to get his hands on that bear. And it's an amazing bear, but it was a long wait, 2 years. And it's even longer for somebody like him that's not used to waiting for his action figures like you and me maybe are. But if you're after those legions, head over to that Kickstarter. I'm tempted to get that dwarf. That dwarf looks good. But we've had a lot of dwarfs, so I don't know. We'll see. There's still time on that if you want to. Moving over to NECA, how about a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? A lot of turtle stuff, of course, from NECA, as we know, but it looks like the sewer layer is coming back. A lot of shenanigans with that sewer layer once upon a time. A lot of shenanigans with all that stuff, the Donatello lab and things. But if you want the sewer layer, it looks like they're going to have a restock over there at NECA, so if you missed it, now you got a second chance. We saw the Stan Sakai Turtles last week coming to Haulathon. This week we saw the Usagi Yojimbo figure, so you can get that to pair with your Turtles. That's coming to Haulathon as well, so we saw that this week. And that's it really for NECA, and that's it for everything but our friend Todd on the couch. And Todd, it's getting sparse, man. It's getting sparse. I know where the clock's running out on the DC multiverse, and I know you don't just hammer the Spawn stuff out all the time. But this week, the only news I can find for our friend Todd is, and I'm only going to do this once just because we're close friends, Todd. We saw Poppy. What is Poppy? I have no idea. Isn't that like an artist that sings NXT songs or something? I don't know what a Poppy is. It's a drink too? Yeah, I guess it is some kind of a drink, like a probiotics drink or something. Get out of here with that. But if you're after Poppy in the world of Poppy, McFarlane's got you. He's got you. But he also has my dad. He's got World of Warcraft figures coming to the Elite line. Now, once again, what is the World of Warcraft? I know it from that South Park episode with Cartman playing the games and Mom, bathroom. You remember that whole thing? You ever seen that episode? An all-timer, if there ever was one. That's what I know for World of Warcraft, except I go to my dad's toy room, and I'm going to out my dad right here, Todd McFarlane. My dad has a huge World of Warcraft action figure collection. He does. He's got a whole bookshelf full of World of Warcraft action figures. And I'm like, Dad, I didn't know you liked World of Warcraft. And he's like, I like their figures. I said, so you don't play the game? He's like, there's a game? He didn't even know, but he loves those figures. He loves them. So you might have my dad on his YouTube channel unboxing your World of Warcraft figures. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe a good Father's Day or birthday gift for my dad. I'm sure he's not watching this, but we got that option there. And then playing the hits with my dad continues. We saw more hockey figures up for pre-order. Not something I'm going to want a piece of. I know Todd loves his hockey. Tonsil hockey? Yeah, me too, Todd, me too. But he's got hockey figures out here, and I'm hoping they were going to get a Mario Lemieux out there. Where's Mario Lemieux? Where's Martin Brodeur? Where's Grant Fuhr in 2 different skin colors? Could we have got a Jeremy Roenick? Maybe a Steve Yzerman? Could we get that? A Patrick Waugh? Give me those ones. But it's modern day hockey players I don't know anything about. But I think if they were classic hockey players, especially Grant Fuhr, my dad would be in. My dad would be getting those figures. But it is cool. You got to diversify that portfolio. You're losing DC. I know I'm preaching to the choir, Todd. You lose DC, you got to fill those holes. And Todd and I are great at filling holes. And he's filling them with Poppy, World of Warcraft, Image Comics stuff, and now hockey players, soon basketball, who knows what else, and a few other licenses. Todd's not taking this on his sword. He's going to keep fighting. That's what you got to do. One step in front of the other, keep fighting, and that's what Todd's going to do. And that is the toy news this week. Quite the week this week. What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to pick up? What are you excited to see? Let me know in the comments down below. You made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell as we got videos every single day, and then some. Yes, and then some. We got more content for you on Patreon, YouTube channel memberships, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and The Kyle Peterson Show at gmail.com, which is also new to my podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show. Did you check out this week's episode, Angie and the Blindfold, the Presidents? Oh, you got to be there. Just wait till next week's episode, and you'll have that early this weekend for Patreon members. So check it out. Of course, The Kyle Peterson Show, available where podcasts are found, with videocast on YouTube. So for another week of the toy news, you know what I'm doing. I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another weekend.
Well, are we going to dance or are we going to play?
There's some strange shit going on in this house, and I know damn well it is.
See you later! Goodbye! What are we doing in this plastic prison? Searching for freedom!